Um, all right, great. Let's go ahead and send this out. So hey, if you caught it last time, I'm starting a Mondays Blender Brunch Bros stream. I can see why people mute that. Okay, go ahead and post it around. Okay. All right. So today I will be working on a barrel. For the game that I'm working on, I want to make a sort of medieval barrel that you carry around on your first quest. The fun part is it's an enchanted magic barrel where basically, let's see. Oh, I need to add some image references in here. Let me just send this out to one more place. Okay, great. Let me see if I can do a pop-out chat thing. Thanks, chat. Yeah, so I'm going to be working on the enchanted barrel, and the enchantment that it has on it is that it is a bottomless barrel of ale. So, very valuable. All right. Can I import all these at once? No, just one, it looks like. That's fine. So I already started by going through Pinterest and finding some cool references. Um, I know basically what I want to go for is your standard barrel shape, but especially in games, okay, especially in games, I struggle with, or not struggle, but it's really easy for barrels to look kind of phoned in and that kind of general cylindrical warped shape. So I found one image towards the end of my search. Oh, bring these in so I keep forgetting. Yeah, this one that kind of has the more bumped out, different panels, less even. Because one of the problems with barrels is they're such a perfect, or they can be such a perfect shape that it looks a little bit too nice. And I added my own hotkey, Shift I, to import reference images. I don't think that's how it works for most people because I just added that a couple weeks ago. But it's really easy to add hotkeys. All I have to do is go to Add Image, and then it's background image that I like, which just means that it doesn't disappear when you rotate around. For me, I'm rotating around constantly, so even though rotating around can warp the image like crazy, I still prefer to see it there. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, making it leaking or exploding ale from all the boards. That's like so uncomfortable to think about, but I do really like the idea. Maybe like if you shake it up or move around too much, it starts to ooze foam. Yeah. That would be. It's making me so stressed thinking about it. But I guess if it's bottomless, is it such a big deal? Uh, Not if that doesn't get to you, I suppose. I think I just have like one more image. Yeah. Okay, great. So this is a little bit overkill when it comes to references. So I'm gonna hide all but what I'm gonna use for blocking out the base shape at this point. I'm just using H to actually let me turn on screencast. Okay, great. Sticky. Yeah, very, very sticky. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start out with a circle. I'm using spacebar to add stuff. Um, Big question is how many vertices do I want to have? 32 seems a bit high. Um, but I mean, it will be. Maybe I will stick to 32 because I do want the characters to be carrying it around and all sorts of stuff, and I will be kind of extruding from this. So let's just start with that. I'm using Control Up Arrow to maximize the viewport. I'm just going to go ahead and of course it's a little bit of perspective going on, so I'm going to slide it down just a little bit and try to center it also. I prefer to, and I'm using Z to be able to see through it. I prefer to kind of extrude through and then add cross sections that way. And this is just a very general shape. I am starting to feel like this is too many points. Yeah, let me do just a few less points. Nothing has to be that efficient, of course, um, because it's just one barrel, but it adds up over time. So you want to be thinking about that at all stages if you're trying to make a game that if there could be some frame rate issues at a certain point, and it's definitely a concern for me. Okay, so for now, I'm actually just gonna extrude it in using Alt right click to select. I've got emulate middle mouse button set up. Make sure that it goes through for people. Great. And then I'll extrude it up and then cap it off. I'm just using E and Alt M to, when I've got a circle of vertices, Alt M to kind of merge them all to the center is a really easy way to cap that off without having to draw a lot of faces. I'll do the same thing up here. Great. Alright, let's see. How many planks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can kind of see 5. So what if I did every 2 faces? What does that look like? That looks pretty good. I think I like that. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So the way that I want to separate all these planks, and I'd like to do it in some sort of mesh way so I can break up the silhouette. Go ahead, jump back into object mode, texture panel, and bring back some more references. I'm going to be looking at this one. So these have pretty big cracks in them. I guess let's just let's just go ahead and extrude it out. It's going to be very uniform right now. I'm going to use Control period to be able to scale them all by their own axes, and then want to. If you do Shift Z, then it won't scale it. By default, it'd be like this. Now that I've hit Control I, it'll scale all the elements separately. but I want to stay the same height, so I'm just going to do Shift Z. Great. And I'm using Alt 2 a lot to toggle on X-ray. Again, really easy hotkey to add if you want to. You can just right-click, add shortcut right there is the X-ray button. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing with these. The reason I didn't select them all at the same time is because if I did, then it would just extrude as one single kind of barrel, and I wanted all the kind of planks to be separate. Not exactly sure if I'm going to keep this all the way. Maybe I should even bake it as a normal map later, but can mirror over X and Y. Yeah, that's a great idea. I will do that. Let me go ahead. Thanks, chat. That's a good idea. So when you're modeling something that's symmetrical, or in this case, symmetrical in multiple directions, I'm even going to do X, Y, and Z. This might be a little bit excessive, and I'll probably apply some of it at some point early on. But so by default, when you add a mirror, you go to the Brunch tab, you add a mirror, it goes one axis, but you can actually do two, and then you can do, let's see, okay. Oh, I see, the pivot's all the way down here, so I just have to bring the pivot up. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? And I want the mesh to be in front, actually, so I'm going to go ahead and mirror this over the y-axis, recalculate the normals. Where's it being? Oh, okay, I've got textured solid turned on, which is right here, material, studio or flat will give you that solid look, or solid bright, whatever your textures is. Barrel is Canadian. So to bring this in, I'm in the middle of a stream, but yeah. Do you have what? Okay. I'm not sure what's up. I'm just going to, because moving the pivot up. Well, actually, you know what? Here's an easy way. Let me put this back. Because I want, I'm really sacrificing for the z-axis flip, but it's kind of a fun thing. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to use Shift S to put the cursor there, and then I'm just going to, put the cursor there. I'm going to duplicate this point and put the point at the cursor, and then I'm going to drag this up here. This is just a very complicated way because I want to keep the pivot in a point that's a little bit difficult to keep. And then I'm going to put the cursor there, and then I can, where's the hotkey? Okay, there we go. Control Alt C. It's just object set origin. That's what it is. Yeah. Great. Okay. So now when I make these edits, I only have to do them like for 2 planks. In fact, really what I should do is, I don't want to be working on half of a plank if I can help it. So let me just apply that and rotate it by however many degrees I need to in order to get this knot. Because really what I want to be working on is right here. What is that, 15 degrees? Okay, and you can kind of see the little preview there. So now, if I delete all the things, except for this little corner, got an extra face. Then I can do boom, boom. And I don't have that. Oh, wait. That totally doesn't work at all. Oh, wait. That's right. I was going to extrude out more planks. So I can just continue doing what I was doing. Okay. So, and I'm also going to turn on clipping, which just kind of keeps these points locked. There. Okay. Extruding it out. Maybe actually I want to extrude without the z-axis. How did I do it before? Oh, maybe I just did it from above. Great. And I'm going to be making the planks offset from each other some anyways. So this probably won't be that much of an issue. So how am I going to break up this silhouette that's this even line here even before I add in the middle rings? I'm probably going to... Well, I mean, so I can start by, pulling these up, but actually, that might be workable. I'll leave that point there. Oops. So I have a lot of, okay, add 7 vertices on top of each other. But yeah, if I slide these to the side, then I can, without even having to add any more points, I can get away with some stuff that way. So maybe we'll just work with that at this stage. I can always decide to bring in more variation later. Have one. Maybe droop even. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and set it to shade smooth so I can see what the effect is. Now it's pretty weird, and part of that is just because there's this crazy huge gap between the planks right now. I don't need to be that much. So I'm going to bring it in a lot more. The more I'm thinking about the exploding barrel or oozing barrel, kind of leaking out stuff, the more I'm thinking of the barrels like an alive entity, like they have a personality and and stuff like that. Let's see. Yeah, so at this point I'm just kind of bringing these boards closer to each other. I keep accidentally hitting the F button instead of the G button, so it's creating faces, where I definitely do not want faces. Okay. At this point I've lost a little bit of height, so I'm just going to drag this up a little bit and drag my object up a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring in some of the metal bars that kind of go around. I'm just going to use this point so I can get a circle in the middle. And yep, 24 is good again here. And I don't really like the cap on top because it ruins the kind of cool broken silhouette that we've got going there. So I'm just going to add what kind of personality? Are they angry? Yeah, maybe depending, maybe their personality is completely determined by what kind of brew is in there. So if it's a summertime one, then it's fairly happy, but maybe a little lazy, a little lackadaisical. Now, this is being mirrored in across 3 axes, so it's the mesh that this is creating is pretty gross, but we're just going to ignore that for now because since we have all this mesh, then our pivots align very easily. Okay, go ahead and shade smooth again. I feel like once you start shading smooth, it's hard to go back with any piece of what you're working on. I'm going to extrude this in, recalculate it so it stays outside. And then I'm just going to scale it in even more actually because it only needs to be on top by a little bit. Of course, this bar shouldn't be going through the planks now that I think about it. It should be resting on top or squeezing, from on top. I'm actually going to add a few sharps. So Shift T. Did my screencast stop going? Oh, it did. Oops. I think there's some hotkey for screencasting, which is totally unnecessary, but I haven't removed it yet. All right, this barrel's still looking a little, definitely still looking a little strange. Maybe part of that is still the cracks are too big. Oops. It could also be the shading, so let me see what happens if, for example, I mark as sharp just the tip of these. Oh, it didn't seem to do anything. Huh? Okay. I guess you have to have auto smooth turned on sometimes in order for the sharp edges that you mark to be respected. Let's go ahead and do sharp all the way. Okay. I think I like how that looks a lot better for now. Oops. Great. And then mark this as well. And this as well. Actually, maybe I'll keep that soft. But I will mark these at the top. So I might need to mark all of these as sharp in order to get the effect I'm looking for, but one of the reasons I'm kind of resisting that is when you leave things as being smooth and you get that nice shading where it averages the light based on being halfway between the different faces. Okay, I think I'm liking this. Cool. And it's flipping it to the bottom. I keep checking the bottom as if I have to do it again. But yeah, that was a good tip to make sure that I was working with the mirror modifier on. Okay, let's go ahead and save what we're working on. Magic Ale. Now, as you might have guessed from some of the references images that I had, I do want a spout. I saw a really cool spout that had two of them. One, I guess, for when it's very full, and the other one when it's not. That's kind of a fun look. But at least for now, I'm going to do at least one spout at the bottom. So let me do that. It looks like, and the other question is, do I want to have more rings? I think I will have another ring at the bottom. I do want to break the symmetry at this point. So we actually don't need a mirror. Oh, oops, maybe I do want a mirror, but only for the z-axis. Oh, is this not aligned? Oh, interesting. I guess I slid this in incorrectly. Okay, well, I guess the nice thing, I can just kind of line it up with that dot. So I'm going to do it that way for now. It could be because I've rotated it some, these planks, so that I wasn't working on the middle of a plank, but that should be fine. I'm going to go ahead and apply this so I can stop managing the mirror, at least with these rings. And then I'm just going to duplicate this with Shift D, bring it down, and make it a little bit less tall. And since there's a lot more slope here, I'm going to scale out the top one. And then go ahead and apply this mirror too. You can always delete a bunch of stuff to bring the mirror back, but I kind of want the bottom to be a lot flatter. I don't know if there's a faster way to select all these. Yeah, it really depends on the situation whether C or B for box select or circle select is the right way to go. I'll pull it down just a little bit more because I think it's fun to see the planks at the bottom even if they're a lot more in line. Go back to control comma so that I can make the pivot point in the center of planks. Again, I know I just applied the mirror, so I'm having to do these things a bunch of times, but I think I'm starting to get to that point where I want the bottom to be a lot different than the top, so it might be mostly unavoidable. Okay. I do like those bolts, but I'm going to try to paint those on or do them through a normal map later. Alright, let's add a spout. I'm going to just add it on this plank. This is one of the downsides of not having a plank in the center is that I can't do a mirror, but you know I don't want it to be symmetrical anyways pretty quickly, so I'm gonna add a circle, and this I'm gonna make very low poly, maybe like 6 or 8. I'm gonna do 6 for now, just because it's such a small shape. I'll try to orient it to the normal of this. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm probably going to make it clip through. In fact, I guess it comes straight out, so it kind of ignores. Do some, oops. I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees actually, since it comes out straight. Since it comes out in the middle of a plank, it makes sense to me. Work with Alt-2 on so I can see. Now, there's some people that like to work without the arrows on, and that is a really clean, it makes it so it doesn't get in the way and it's easier to see stuff. For me, I just kind of forget a lot of the time which axes that I'm working on, and with Blender, since you can grab the different axes with X, Y, or Z, sometimes I like the reminder being there. So this would be on the Z axis, but it's also pretty fast to toggle between them even while you're gunning, so it's definitely just a preference at that point, but it is really nice when you can have those off. So let's see. I guess it doesn't come out too much. And as it's... Oh, I guess I was pushing it forward on an axis rather than on its normal. What I'm going to go ahead and do is, when you're extruding out a face rather than an edge, it'll do so along the face's normal, which can be really nice for lining things up a little bit more how you'd expect. So I'm going to add that. I want to see that sort of base plug. Let's see. I guess actually at this point the best thing to do would just be to extrude it out and back. Great. Gonna go forward a bit. No gizmo gang. Yeah. No, I definitely think if you can work without the gizmo, it's you're kind of working in expert mode. I'm going to switch it to normal. In the new Blender, the nice thing is when you start, when you change your manipulator to normal, the first axis that it chooses is the whatever current orientation you have. So in fact, I can create a new orientation. I can't remember what my hotkey for that is. But let's see. Okay, here it is. I can add a new orientation. We'll just call it face. And it'll automatically put me in that orientation. That's all it's about. Fine. And it'll just lock my axes to that, so I don't have to keep worrying about selecting faces in order to work with this now, which is nice. So I can just drag it out. So there's kind of like a ball sort of shape, so I'm just going to be pretty fast about it at this point because I want to move on. And then get a lot smaller for maybe back to the original size. And again, I can be rotating it on that normal, which is the y-axis, which isn't, it's not lined up with the global axis, so it's nice. And then, is that how it looks? Yeah. Okay. Maybe I would bring this one in. So, maybe all of these would be scaled in. Like Alt S, scale on the normal. Bring one more edge ring so I can smooth that out a little bit better. Oh, now that I've been moving things with G instead of with the axis, it's a little bit off. But you know what? Actually, this is going to be a little bit crooked anyways to kind of go with the style. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just so it's more noticeable, even if it's bigger than my reference. And I'm going to shorten. I'm going to shorten this. Get some there. What kind of ale would you want in a bottomless barrel? That's a really good question. Whatever you think you couldn't get sick of, I guess. One idea I had is that the magic wears off slowly, and that over time it dilutes the ale with just more and more alcohol. So eventually, when the spell runs out, all it will pour out is just like Everclear. As a fun idea, but yeah, that'd be what's everyone's favorite kind of ale. Yeah, what would you, if you could have limitless supply, a lifetime supply, what would you go with? And this is definitely more than needs to be done. I'm just going to do that. But sometimes it's nice to extrude in just a bit. And I'll go ahead and set this to shade smooth as well. And then I'm going to make this edge sharp. And then maybe a few more edges. Nice. Now that I'm thinking about personalities, seeing this this spout here, it's hard for it to not look like a penis. But maybe that's okay. Hot dog water, bottomless barrel of cheese. Almond milk. Yeah, the skim milk. Uh, and that's a beautiful visual since these barrels are probably not going to be refrigerated, or maybe you should if it contains that stuff. Oh my god. Okay, so now we just need the bar on top that turns it. I'd like to do something a little bit more interesting than that kind of a faucet. Like just make the handle, maybe the handle has some sort of emblem, would be fun. But I'm gonna just grab these faces. I'm gonna switch from spout orientation to global again. Um, I guess maybe actually I should probably stay in Spout because yeah, I'm still working off of a global axis, kind of tilted some. Lukewarm hot dog water. Yeah, and to give context, so the goal of this mission is there's a bunch of different types of players, and one of the types of players is a noble character, and generally what's happening with them is it's kind of like a new world situation in which the family, maybe they're the stupid one in the family or something, and so they've been shipped off to this dangerous new land, and they've been given a small amount of the family money in order to get started, and the only thing you can buy at first is a bottomless barrel of ale, so you can start off the inn. Let's see, rotate. Just gonna get the flat face facing forward so it's not having an issue with this. Try to line it up a little better. Okay, and then I'm just gonna start extruding a bunch. And this kind of gives you a good idea of one of the reasons you don't necessarily, or many of the reasons you don't want to break with the regular global axes when you're making something, especially something that's somewhat stiff or not like a character or a human. It can just be difficult to move things perfectly along an axis for things to stay straight or to not get kind of muddy looking at the end. All right, so I am going to what's it called? Keep the initial shape. Okay, well, this will help it look less like genitalia actually. Now that I've added this top part, that's good. Go ahead and add all of that. And then maybe I want it to be like flat somehow. Oh, that's right. I wanted to have an emblem, so maybe it'll just kind of come to like a flat little shape. So yeah, I'm gonna extend this off and shrink it down like that. Have that. Oops, grab some vertices from behind it. Have that taper in sooner. Let's see. Experimental idea. Let's see if it pays off. And then I'm just going to take this. Flatten it out. And you can see how creating this custom orientation allows me to work really cleanly at a crazy. It's not meant to be a demo of this, but it is a really powerful tool. This whole creating your own transform orientations. I think I added a hotkey for it. Shift spacebar. Okay, I must have removed that from something else. That definitely does something else for most Blender users. All right, great. Let's make it a little less thick. Okay, well, one of the things that's getting in the way of this, when you add sharps and then you extrude from them, a lot of the time it'll add those sharps, these little blue edges to things. So I'm just going to Shift Alt T to get rid of them. And now I'm seeing this a little bit clearer too. Pretty sure there's a way to align your view to your custom orientation also, but it's I can't remember that. Okay, I can say there's more of a sharp. Maybe I'll be try to be efficient and a little bit messy and just add just on the side that needs more geometry. Great. Pull this forward. Yeah, great. And then maybe if I guess really what I should do is I should split this so that, because right now, because it's clipping through, it's creating kind of a weird soft line when most of this is hard lines because it's so low poly. So let me just split that and see what I can do. If I put it right on the edge. Yeah, it looks a lot cleaner, I think. Making a face there real quick, and then I'll try to line it up, but mostly just eyeball the backside to get that lined up. Also, I guess the plan is that this will turn, so I guess I should be moving it on these. Actually, I definitely have already screwed that up some, but looks like it's pretty close. And then it'll be really fun to put some sort of part on there. I definitely don't need these extra points. I've got auto merge vertices on, so sliding things creates a really satisfying vertex combining. Alright, and then I'd like this to be something other than a square. Maybe we'll have like a little rounded corner here. Just using J to turn open. Maybe I'll do the same thing over here actually. Okay. Sometimes when I'm not sure how I'm going to connect faces, I'll just select 2 points and hit F a couple of times, and it'll do a surprisingly good job. Yeah. Alright, I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Alright, what's next? One idea I had is that you could bevel those edges. Oh, and the metal bars. That's probably a good idea. Or on the planks. I'm guessing we're talking about the metal bars. Alright, I'm just going to select all of these. Control B of these. And how you bevel. Yep. How's that look? Ooh, that looks a lot cleaner. Yeah, I go keep that. This is a couple places where it's getting on top of planks, so I'm just going to scale it out a little bit more. Great. What else? Now for some of the magic stuff, or I guess for the leaking, I might think about that some. Actually, I'm going to worry about those effects later. One idea I had was that the barrel would come with its own little, kind of like one of those fold-up chairs, where you can just plop it down at any time. Although the way that I've set up the spout, it's not super handy for that. I think I'll do like that. I might apply the mirror and make this less uniform, but probably before I do that, I should get some UVs going. Let's see. UVs for these is pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and hide sharps just because it's a bit distracting. Alt right click so I can select these whole rings. Anytime you're working in circles, it's just so nice because you can select a lot of times whatever you want to select in just one click. And it's a lot of points, so that would take a really long time otherwise. And then just pick. I like to pick different points so the seams aren't all aligned. Although I don't want any seams close to the spout because people will be looking at the spout a lot. So let's do that. But yeah, I like to keep when there's a bunch of uniform seams, I like to keep them in different places. Let's see, seams for this. Let's do that. Did I make this sharp? Maybe I did. You know what? Maybe I want to make this back edge sharp. Try that. And then I can scale this in a little bit. Actually, I think I'm going to slide all of these. Oh, I need to keep these out. Okay, so I can slide these in. Sometimes when you grab too many points, you can't really use the double G sliding thing too effectively. Now that I'm here, I kind of want to continue bring back the sharp so I can understand what's going on here. Okay. I want to bring. Let me go back to global. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was like, why is Shift G or Shift Z not working for me? Because I was still in my spout orientation. Let's see. I'm starting to run out of time, so if you guys have any other questions about what's going on. I was going to get farther along, but I got really caught up on some of the orientation stuff. That's okay. I'm just going to copy an edge, extrude it across. Normally you'd use a circle for this too, but I'm trying to save on polygons, so I'm just going to, I guess maybe this wouldn't be saving on polygons, but I want to keep these roughly the same size as the planks that I've been using, which is easy to line up with some of these. And then, let's see, I'm going to bring this down further actually, because I don't want it to mess with the silhouette you see from the top. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing where I extrude, control period, so I can extrude it in like that. I definitely don't want to be able to see that though. same thing. These. I'm actually just going to delete these edges because I don't want to see it. I'm going to hide everything else actually. It's starting to get a little bit more complicated, which is fine. It's just hard to select what you want to select sometimes. Don't want those. Those. Great. And then I really extrude these up too high. Keep them a lot lower, something like that. And I think the crease should be a lot smaller. Let's bring that up. And just scale these out to help make the crease smaller. Maybe I'll make it so they're not all perfectly straight. To kind of fit better with the theme of it being a little bit off. I did get banged up a lot while I was getting all those enchantments. Have an edge here, don't Great. Alright. So I think I'll go back to... Oh, should I do something on the bottom? I might actually just... Well, I guess we'll be rotating around, so... Okay, I'm just going to copy paste the top to the bottom. Oops. Shift the Z-axis, Controls M, Z, which just mirrors it. It also mirrors the normals though, so Alt-N to get the normals flipped right side up. And then I want to do, oops. And the bottom is more uniform, so I'm just going to kind of select this and do a very sloppy scaling on the Z axis, which also gets less crease, but that, I kind of want that also. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm starting to feel like I've got something going pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and apply the mirror. Oh, I guess I already did that. Okay. Right, and then I'm going to make this a little bit less uniform. I'll just bring in some of those in. Should probably be a little less stingy with the number of points. Having all these planks share the points in the middle definitely limits my options as far as what I can, some of the silhouette effects. But let's see what I can do with what I've got already. And in some cases, it might just be as simple as, what is it, Shift V? No. So, yeah, Alt V. Lets you split but keep the faces connected. Just so I can make it seem like most of the faces are their own. And I'll do that in one other area. Great. Alright, I'm gonna start unwrapping it. I'm out of time, unfortunately, but I'll get to that next time. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me, everyone. Hopefully, learned something about sharpen edge. Yeah, Shift T. I don't know if it's there by default, but it would be is it edge marked sharp? So you just right click this and hit add shortcut. Um, but if you're using my hotkeys, and I'll link to that. Um, I'll upload my hotkeys and link to that in the future, next Monday. But yeah, Shift T will add the sharp edge, and then you're going to want to go to the triangle tab and set auto smooth and set the angle to 180 to make sure that it's working for you. I guess I could mark these as sharp also, but for some reason I kind of like it being soft there. Maybe we'll see once I start painting if when I add grime it makes sense or not. Alright, well thanks for tuning in everybody, and I'll see you next week. I'm going to be doing this probably for a very long time. But yeah, Blender Brunch Bros, 12 to 1 Eastern Time. Thanks. Have a good day.